Climbing has changed beyond all recognition within recent years with the development of countless different disciplines. In turn, so too have approach shoes. Previously, approach shoes would have been to gain access to mountain crags and sea cliffs and all the such like. Whereas nowadays, there's this new development of climbing wall bred climbers who actually don't want to do that. They just want to go to the gym. The Prime seeks to cater for both of those groups, but definitely sits at the more casual end of the approach shoe spectrum. So what do I mean by that? Now, first and foremost, the Prime isn't something I'd envision wearing on longer and more technical approaches, simply because it's a very soft shoe. And if you're anything like me, you'll value that little bit more support. The advantage of this over rocky terrain is that the soft midsole, accompanied with the dotty rubber sole, gives really good sense of sensitivity. Whether to be a drawback, it's that these dotty rubber soles, great though they are on technical and rocky terrain, they're a lot less great at wet ground, muddy banks, grassy slopes and the such like, which, sadly for us, adorn our mountains. So these maybe aren't something that I see approaching mountain crags and sea cliffs and more technical, big cliffs. There may be something I see as approaching a boulder problem within somewhere a little more manicured like the Peak District, which takes place on trails and maybe slightly less rough ground. Or were you to go sport climbing at somewhere like Malham or Kilnsey, these again would be perfect for that sort of terrain. When it comes to sizing, the Prime definitely feels snug for its size, and it's well worth trying half a size up. In terms of its width, it's at the medium end of the spectrum, and the same goes for its volume as well. And this counts for both the men's and the women's, which we're reviewing on site. The Prime features a lined suede upper that gives a good level of abrasion resistance. Around the toe, there is rubber reinforcement, but it doesn't actually have that stiffer toe cap, which is worth being aware of when you're looking to actually use it climbing. Finally, on the back, there's a tab so that if you need to clip them to your harness, that option's there, ready and available. Now, whether or not the Prime is for you largely depends on what you're looking to use them for. If it's going to the pub, going to the climbing wall, bouldering, sport climbing, I see them as being perfectly well suited. When it comes to more adventurous use, like mountain crags and sea cliffs, they're potentially a little lacking, particularly in that level of support. The other thing to mention again, just before we finish, is sizing. It's definitely worth trying on that half size up because they do come up quite snug for their size. Check out a review of both the men's and the women's Prime on UKC.